The Hamilton Ticats take on the Ottawa Redblacks on Saturday. I'm here with the Spec Steve Milton. And Steve, the game marks the return of quarterback Henry Burris. Burris was quite outspoken on Friday about his criticism for the organization and particularly for general manager and head coach Kent Austin. What did you think about what Burris had to say?
Well, it's funny that I think one of the things I said to you was that's a whole different thing if you've got the sound on or off, because if you watch that video with the sound off, you just see Smiling Hank. Put it on, and all of a sudden there's a lot of knives out there. I think he was saving that for here. I think part of that is a gift to the Hamilton media. He knew what we wanted, and he gave it to us. He did point out that the strain between him and Kent Austin. He did point out his massive disappointment. He did point out that he felt that it's a dog-eat-dog business. And I think the implication is that you should have, in a dog-eat-dog business, you still should have a little leeway for the guy that's taken you the furthest in the last 15 years. And he did mention 1999, the furthest since 1999. I thought it was great for journalists. I think it was honest. I don't think it was hurtful. I think it was just honest.
It does beg a question, though. How do you think that Henry will play given his emotionally charged state?
I think Rick Campbell probably said it best, is he plays his best all the time. But I think with a quarterback and a quarterback that's with still a struggling team where things have to be really, really precise, I think, to make it work on that team, just because you don't have perhaps the level and depth of talent that you would like to have. It could be an issue. It really could be an issue. And I think what you want to do there, if you're the Hamilton Tiger Cats, is force him to do some things that he doesn't want to do, which is push him to the wrong side, push him to his left side, and also put a lot of pressure on him so that if he is going to force a throw because of that enthusiasm, it's done when he can't really set and take care of the rest of the mechanics. I think you need to take advantage of that, and I think a few players have told you that there are ways to excite Henry beyond what we used to call good Hank.
For the Ticats, Dan Lefevre gets his first career CFL start. What do you expect to see out of him?
I think he's got maybe the same issue here as Henry. He's got to control himself. He's got to make sure that he throws the ball with authority, and I think that's been one of his problems. Even though he's had a pretty high completion rate, I haven't liked the velocity on his ball a lot of times. And when the going gets tough, you have to have more direction on your throw, more oomph. I expect to see an awful lot of running. I expect to establish that run and keep whacking it until they do establish it. You're not probably going to fall behind by 28. It isn't Calgary you're playing. So, although they only allowed 10 against Calgary, but normally a team like Calgary scored a ton on you. I think you've got to establish that offense, because if you don't do it now, and you don't win this game, you're never going to be able to do it down 0-4 in the season, 0-5, 0-6. You're going to be you're then going to be doing things you don't want to do. I think you got to play with a playbook right now. Use that playbook, and the playbook has got to have some running in it.
This game will be played at Ron Joyce Stadium at McMaster. It was supposed to be the grand opening of Tim Hortons Field. Is that a factor here? I mean, how disappointing is it for the city and for this team?
I think it's a factor for everybody, but probably the players. I think one thing we have to remember is that the 6,000 people who will be there, you're singing to the choir, right? These are they're all subscribers. Almost every person there is a subscriber to this team, most of them for long-term subscription. So they're just going to be happy to see this team back in town playing a real game that matters for 637 games. Lots of them didn't go to the exhibition game, and hardly any of them have been to the practices over the years at Mac. So I don't think it'll affect the players so much, but I think there'll be sort of this odd in limbo feeling. And I don't even know how to put it in the right terms, but it isn't unimportant what's happening on Saturday, but it isn't what we expected. And I think it's hard for a lot of people to know whether to be in the moment that is or live in the moment that isn't. And the moment that isn't is they didn't get into Tim Hortons Field. I think there's an ambivalence there, and I think there's torn. I've talked to a lot of fans who feel a little torn by it, and we write about it in Saturday Spectator.
Make sure you do check out Saturday Spectator for a full game preview, as well as the Scratching Post blog for all the up-to-the-minute news on the Ticats. Reporting with Steve Milton, I'm Drew Edwards.